First, I want to give you a warm welcome from Europe. A little bit more precisely from the European Council for Steiner Waldorf Education. We are an organization which brings together 25 countries and represents more than 700 schools. But we are not confined to Europe. We are a worldwide movement with more than 1,000 schools, more than 2,000 kindergartens, and around 600 institutions of curative education. And listen to these numbers, you might get the question, what have all these institutions in common? What brings them together? Why do they call themselves "We are Waldorf schools"? And the linking philosophy for all these educational fields is that they share a certain image of the child, and especially of the development of the child and the young people. That means, for example, that we are looking at the child from the baby to the adult, that there are certain qualitative steps in the development. And this is in contrast to other images where the child is looked as a small adult who only has less knowledge, less experience, and less abilities. Only a quantitative problem. And all these steps are looked as representing a development which is worldwide the same in children. And from this idea emanates the whole pedagogy and especially the worldwide curriculum. And I think that is unique, that there is something in the educational field which is the same all over the world. And this makes possible that the curriculum is derived from the developmental steps of the children. Because the children at any age have certain questions, have certain interests and faculties, and express a certain state of development by their consciousness and by their relation to the world, how they experience world, and that is different from the adult. Thus, the curriculum tries to offer the right matter, the right content to the child, to meet what the child is asking for in a certain age. But being a worldwide curriculum, it mainly can be a framework to be used in all these different cultural, geographical, and traditional different countries, that it is applicable to very different life conditions. And it has to be adapted to all these different cultures. But it goes further on. It has to be adapted to the school, to a certain class, and in last consequence, to a certain child. And this means, on one hand, that we need a wide range of freedom for the schools, for the teachers. And on the other hand, a great deal of responsibility of every school, of every teacher. And this requires a close cooperation among all these people who are dealing with a child, that includes the parents. And in this context, Rudolf Steiner, the creative spirit establishing the Waldorf Pädagogik, said very simple, the child is our curriculum. That shows the intention where the teacher always is asked to attune the content of the curriculum to the learning needs of the child. And this asks for the educational artist, because it is an art when the teacher always tries to respond to the child and to make the child at the same moment capable to stand in the world. This is a challenge and a continuous creative process. So a curriculum needs to be open and flexible to give the teacher the space for his creative work. But his guideline always comes from studying the knowledge of the human being and how it changes, and not only in general, in a certain generation, but also for the single child. And nowadays we have a problem. I think we have this in common with a lot of countries in Europe, and not only in Europe, that we have, or better say, we suffer by confined conditions of the final examinations which are coming from the state, who don't refer to an open curriculum. This has a very strong influence to all the things we are doing in the backward time in the last classes, not only in the last year, but in the years before. And that gave rise to an initiative of developing an own curriculum, an own diploma for Waldorf schools. That is the European Waldorf Diploma, which tries to reflect our open curriculum. You can find some papers about this in the main hall. And part of this special form of assessment is the portfolio. This is another project within the European Council, the European Portfolio Certificate. And we think the portfolio makes possible that the single child can give a very individual picture of its interests, of his knowledges, and its abilities. And these both projects are promoted by several schools and in very different countries in Europe. So the European Council stands also for a learning organization where we all share our experiences with the individual realization of the worldwide Waldorf curriculum. And this is a vivid, creative process, always balancing between the needs of the child and of what it offers by the developmental steps and all the demands of the society of life, which we try to reflect in our curriculum. Thank you.